Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on, well, a crucial mission, actually.
That's right.
We want to quickly and thoroughly understand 5 global hotspots. Places flashing red on the radar right now. We're trying to go beyond just the headlines, Extract the really important nuggets of knowledge from the sources we've gathered. Sort of give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed.
And as we navigate these intense situations, you'll see they're far from being isolated incidents. Each one is complex, interconnected, a potential tipping point, really, with implications reaching far beyond its immediate borders.
Yeah.
We're here to help you consider that broader context, understand what's truly at stake.
Okay, let's start with a region that's, well, dominating headlines. Israel and Gaza. The violence there continues to escalate, devastating consequences. The conflict really intensified, didn't it, after the October 2023 Hamas attack?
Definitely.
Leading to Israel's extensive air and ground operations in Gaza. And the human toll. It's been immense. Tragic, really. Recent UN reports, they're talking over 35,000 Palestinians killed and 1,200 Israelis.
Stark numbers.
Yeah. Gaza's infrastructure is shattered. More than 1 million people displaced internally. It's a humanitarian crisis on a scale that's almost hard to comprehend.
It truly is.
Yeah.
And what's critical to grasp, I think, is that this isn't just, a regional conflict anymore, not by a long shot. You've got the U.S., Iran, Hezbollah, they're all entangled in various ways.
Right.
And what's really interesting here, or maybe alarming, is how the Red Sea has rapidly become a flashpoint.
With the Houthi attack.
Exactly. Houthi rebels targeting ships, dragging the U.S. Navy into direct skirmishes. And look, while many focus, understandably, on the immediate humanitarian crisis, these Red Sea disruptions, they're subtly accelerating a global shift, kind of pushing towards deglobalization, Supply chains, prioritizing security over pure efficiency. That's a long-term consequence people aren't always talking about.
That's a crucial observation. Because if we connect this to the bigger picture, you mentioned the ceasefire talks collapsing in Cairo.
Yeah, repeatedly.
Combined with these regional tensions, it means a potential wider regional war could, well, destabilize the entire Middle East.
Without a doubt.
Impact global oil prices, fuel new refugee crises, maybe draw in even more global superpowers. How do you see that Red Sea situation specifically contributing? Beyond just oil, I mean. What are those other ripple effects?
Well, the Red Sea, it isn't just about oil, right? It's a vital artery for global trade, period. When ships are forced to take that longer, much more expensive route around Africa.
Yeah, huge detour.
It adds significant costs and delays to practically every type of commodity. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a structural stress on global supply chains. It encourages companies, nations to reconsider those long-distance, just-in-time logistics.
Makes sense.
That's the deglobalization pressure right there.
Okay. Speaking of conflicts reshaping the global landscape, let's turn our attention to Ukraine. Headlines might have shifted somewhat, but the war with Russia, still very much raging on. Now deep into its 3rd year. No clear end in sight.
Not at all.
Recent months, we've seen Ukraine launching drone strikes deep into Russian territory.
Becoming bolder.
Yeah.
While Russia just continues to pummel cities like Kharkiv, other eastern urban centers, no sign of letting up on their offensive.
And the global balancing act here.
Yeah.
It's incredibly delicate, isn't it? You have NATO countries, the U.S. included, walking this tightrope. They need to provide essential aid to Ukraine.
Absolutely vital.
But they're desperately trying to avoid any direct confrontation with Moscow.
Yeah.
What truly stands out, I think, is Russia's economy. It shows surprising resilience, hasn't it, despite all the sanctions?
It really has.
It seems to be shifting toward what looked like a permanent war footing. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues to struggle. Depleting ammunition, urgent calls for more Western support. It's a stark contrast.
That resilience from Russia is intriguing. Okay, their economy's adapted, but are there underlying weaknesses? Maybe that reliance on oil and gas. Could sanctions still bite long-term despite this wartime shift?
Oh, absolutely. Look, while they've managed to redirect trade, boost domestic production, especially for military needs, the long-term health is another question. Russia's economy remains fundamentally tied to commodity prices, and it's not very diversified.
Right.
That reliance on energy exports still leaves them vulnerable to global market swings and the exodus of foreign companies. That's a significant loss of innovation, investment for the future.
So adaptation now, but maybe problems later?
Could be. It's a resilient war economy, perhaps, but maybe not a resilient peacetime one. Ultimately, though, this isn't just about Ukraine itself. It's about the global order.
The precedent it sets.
Exactly. If Russia succeeds in redrawing borders by force, It sets a dangerous precedent for authoritarian aggression everywhere. Think about the implications for places like Taiwan, Moldova, even Eastern Europe. It's huge.
Okay, so from Eastern Europe, let's shift our gaze east again to the Taiwan Strait. Analysts describe it as being truly on edge.
That's putting it mildly, maybe.
China's military has significantly intensified its drills around the island. These maneuvers are widely seen as, well, a clear rehearsal.
For blockade or even invasion. Yeah.
And this tension, it's been heightened by recent political shifts, too. Taiwan inaugurated a new president, Lai Ching-te, back in May 2024. He's seen as pro-sovereignty.
Which Beijing did not like.
Yeah.
At all.
No. Following the inauguration, the Chinese Navy literally encircled Taiwan during these large-scale drills. A very clear message.
And the global stakes here are just incredibly high. In response, you've got the U.S. and its allies, Japan, Australia, ramping up naval patrols in the Indo-Pacific.
Showing the flag.
Trying to.
Yeah.
But a critical point to really zero in on is that Taiwan isn't just a geopolitical flashpoint. It's the world's leading chip producer, responsible for what, over 60% of global semiconductors?
A huge proportion.
So if we think about the broader economic implications, a conflict here, it wouldn't just be a geopolitical disaster. It would trigger an unprecedented collapse of the global tech industry.
Wow.
And send economies reeling worldwide.
That idea of a global tech industry collapse, it's truly stark. What stands out to you most about the specific economic vulnerability tied to this region, beyond just the immediate supply of chips? Like, what are the cascading effects? Downstream industries, innovation.
Well, yeah, it's not just about the silicon wafers themselves, right? Taiwan's ecosystem, it's incredibly integrated globally. The expertise, the specialized equipment, the intellectual property, it's all part of this finely tuned interdependent system.
So interconnected.
Absolutely. A disruption there would halt, well, everything. Smartphone production, advanced AI development, critical defense systems, everything runs on these chips. The ripple effects would hit every major industry that relies on modern electronics. It would trigger a global recession that could make past downturns look, frankly, minor.
A single point of failure.
Pretty much. For a huge chunk of modern technology, it's quite scary when you think about it.
Okay, let's move continents now. Next, we turn to Africa's Sahel region, specifically thinking about Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. This area has rapidly become a real hotbed of coup, extremist violence, and intense great power rivalry.
A dangerous mix.
There's been a significant shift in power dynamics. Since 2021, military juntas have seized control in all three nations. And they've been systematically cutting ties with Western allies, like France.
And the U.S. now, too.
Right, and increasingly drawing closer to Russia, often through the Wagner Group, that controversial private military company.
Yeah, their footprint is growing.
France has already withdrawn its troops. The U.S. is currently being pushed out of Niger, which effectively ends their counterterrorism efforts in that specific part of the region.
And this creates a dangerous vacuum. The consequences are already dire.
How so?
Well, the space left by departing Western forces. It's being rapidly filled by armed groups linked to ISIS and al-Qaeda, spreading terror across the region. We're seeing civilian massacres becoming more frequent, millions of people being displaced. It's a humanitarian catastrophe unfolding.
Right.
And this region, that sits right at the crossroads of migration routes, terrorism threats, and the impacts of climate change. It makes it a critical point of global concern.
So given that withdrawal of Western forces, the rise of these extremist groups, how does that shift the global approach to counterterrorism? What new challenges does it pose for international security?
Oh, it fundamentally changes the game. Without intelligence on the ground, without direct partnerships, the West loses critical eyes and ears.
Makes sense.
It pushes counterterrorism efforts towards, well, less precise methods, often drone-based interventions, which risk alienating local populations even further.
A vicious cycle.
Potentially. And, more broadly, instability here. It can ripple into Europe and beyond, increased migration, spread of radical ideologies. Plus, it opens up new geopolitical battlegrounds for Russia, China, and the West to exert influence, often through proxies. It really highlights how seemingly distant conflicts can directly impact daily lives globally.
Okay, and finally, let's conclude with a surprisingly critical global hotspot. Antarctica.
Not the first place most people think of, maybe.
Right. It's remote, largely uninhabited, but it's now one of the most watched regions on Earth, and definitely not just for the penguins. The climate data coming out of Antarctica is, frankly, alarming. In 2024, scientists reported the West Antarctic ice sheet It's melting at what they call an irreversible rate.
Irreversible, that's the key word.
Yeah, a new NASA satellite confirmed this ice loss could raise global sea levels by over 5 meters.
5 meters. Just try to picture that.
It threatens to submerge major cities, from New York to Mumbai, coastal communities everywhere.
And even more alarming, perhaps, is the geopolitical angle emerging down there. Several nations, including China and Russia, they're significantly boosting their Antarctic operations.
Doing what exactly?
Well, they say they're studying climate change. And maybe they are, partly. But they're also seen to be actively staking territorial claims, sort of implicitly, and exploring for rare minerals beneath the ice.
Ah.
The really unique aspect here is that despite international agreements meant to preserve Antarctica for science, this growing presence of powerful nations, it signals a quiet scramble for resources and strategic advantage.
That blend of climate science and geopolitical competition in Antarctica, it's quite unsettling, isn't it?
It is.
What do you think is the most overlooked implication of this territorial, this resource interest in a place we typically think of as pristine, purely scientific?
I think the most overlooked implication is how this sets a precedent for future resource competition in extreme environments, as climate change makes more areas accessible, like the Arctic, too.
Right.
Antarctica is becoming this new arena for both climate collapse playing out and a kind of Cold War competition simmering underneath.
Wow.
What happens there, whether it's through the ice melt itself or through resource exploitation, it could reshape coastlines, economies, global power dynamics for generations.
Wow.
It's a seemingly distant threat, but incredibly impactful for our shared future.
So what does this all mean then if we try to bring it all together? Israel and Gaza, Ukraine, Taiwan, the Sahel, and now Antarctica, they are all in their own distinct ways critical tipping points for our global community, aren't they?
Absolutely. In each of these regions, you find this complex mix: geopolitical tension, the stark realities of climate collapse, significant military buildup, or this intensifying fight for global influence. Understanding these interconnected crises, how they feed into each other, it's crucial really for engaging with the world around us, for recognizing the deeper forces at play.
Exactly. And we encourage you, the listener, to consider not just the daily headlines, but these underlying forces shaping our world, whether it's the potential for the next war or the next wave of refugees.
A supply chain shock.
Or that tipping point of climate catastrophe we just talked about. These are the places we really need to watch, not just passively on the news, but as engaged citizens of a global community.
The world is watching these spots.
Yeah. The question is, are you? So this deep dive today, it was designed to give you that shortcut, that briefing, to being well-informed on these critical global hotspots. We really encourage you to continue exploring any of these topics that sparked your curiosity.